So Warrior Nun premiered on Netflix on July 2nd. This is the show that is, it's based on the Warrior Nun Areala comic book that was created by Ben Dunn. Um, I don't usually read any, I've said this before in other videos, I don't usually read any reviews or anything like that, but I was out of town, I happened to do a search. I did notice at least one article where Netflix basically said that this isn't an adaptation. They didn't look to adapt the comic book to TV. What they did was they took the universe and created a series around it. So with that known, let's go over some of the things that I guess are similar to the comic, some of the differences, and in my opinion, what Netflix got right and what they got wrong. Okay, so in my opinion, the things that are good about the show, again, in relation to the comic, are that the characters mostly seem to be there. At least as far as I remember. I tried looking a few of them up on Wikipedia, but the only one that seemed to match up was Sister Shannon. Sister Shannon, she dies in the first episode. That's the one. She's the one who got wounded in the battle. They could whatever mission they were on. They could easily do like a prequel, maybe a few episodes. They could probably even do a full season, 10 episodes of whatever led up to that. But there's Sister Shannon, and then I am pretty sure that Sister Beatrice and Camille were in the comic. Lilith was in the comic, but she was not a sister. She was a demon princess. Now, considering that she gets taken off to hell and then she comes back the next episode, but she's not quite right, and we see towards the finale, might have been in the finale, that she, like, her nails get all long and she slits another nun's throat. I'm pretty sure they're going to make her what I would call a demon princess sometime in season 2. Camille and Beatrice, they seem to be played correctly. They seem to follow those characters. Shotgun Mary was like perfectly adapted. I mean, other than in the comic she's white and in the TV show she's black, but who cares? Other than that, she's perfectly adapted. She cusses in the comic, and she carries around shotguns. She shoots things. She's no angel. In fact, she's not even part of the order anymore in the comic, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, she's not in the order in the TV series. They don't really explain that when they first introduce her, I don't think. But towards the end of season 1, she does explain why she's around and why she's allowed to operate the way she does. Ava is the only character that seems to have been created for the TV series. She's the non-believer who, I don't think she's necessarily coming around to believing in the faith. She obviously believes in what she's seeing. So she realizes that demons are real, and things like that. But I don't think she's coming around to become a believer in God. Father Vincent is not in the comics, but he seems to be based on Father Gomez. Father Gomez is the priest who guides them and who helps them with doing the administrative duties of the Warrior Nun cast in the comic. He is based in New York, so I mean that is another difference. I can see why they did it though. They put it in Spain. Being in Spain, it's much closer to Italy. They can be going, and they in fact do go to the Vatican. It's much easier to go to the Vatican from Spain than it is to have them being in New York and saying, well, I'm going to go to the Vatican now. You know, that's like a 14-hour plane flight. It doesn't make for good transitions. Whereas being in Spain, they can drive, or they can take a train and get to Italy, no problem. So I would say that's another good thing. Mother Superior is played well for the most part. She seems to have an inner conflict about what's going on. One other good thing about the show, all the episode titles are Bible verses. So even though they seem to be somewhat taken out of context, hopefully it will encourage people to look them up, read them, and maybe they'll read more of the Bible. and I think that's a good thing. I think that's all I have for the good things about the series. In my opinion, there's a lot of bad about the series, and you might as well just get into that now. One of the things I think is bad about the series, it's very anti-Catholic and it's very anti-men. I don't think Netflix needed to go full-on anti-Catholic. And I say that because it's easy for them to do that. It's not brave to do this. I don't know what they were looking for. I think it would have been braver for them to put the Catholic Church in a positive light, despite all the bad news and negative things that have come out, most of which are true. Don't get me wrong. I am a Catholic. The pedophilia scandal was huge. It's something we're still dealing with, but we're also kicking priests out. We're kicking, I don't know if they've kicked any cardinals out, but we are kicking priests out when those things come to light. So the things that they give snide remarks to, I don't think it was necessary, because it's kind of just playing along to the crowd. I think it would have been better if they had maybe face it head on, have the priests, say, yes, those are bad things, and we are doing what we can to get rid of those priests. And it was also very anti-men. And this kind of gets into Ava's narration. It's anytime someone who obviously was a man offered to help her, she automatically was like, I don't need your help. And it's like, whoa, it's okay to ask for help from time to time, even from a man. It's okay for men to ask for help from women. These are not bad things. It's like Netflix wanted the series to be anti-Catholic and anti-patriarchy, which I think is silly. The comic had strong women. Think of the comic as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie and the TV series. It had strong women and it had strong men, and they didn't go at odds to each other. They were working together to fight for a common good and to fight evil. And that actually brings us to another thing that I think was bad about the series. There's a lot of fighting, which would have been fine if they were fighting demons. But I think for probably half the series, the nuns were fighting each other, which seemed ridiculous. They should not have been fighting each other, despite the fact that they had different beliefs about which route to take to bring Ava in. They shouldn't have been fighting each other. They are all on the same team. They are all trying to fight demons and find out the secrets of, I think, of the Halo. But back on the anti-men thing for a while. So it looked like it was just anti-most men throughout most of the series. But then you get to the finale, and it turns out that every single guy, and it was only the guys, was bad. Father Vincent was working for the master Adriel, who it appears to be is a demon. Then you had Father Duretti was out for his own power, and I suspect it'll come out that he's the one. They don't say it directly, but pretty sure he's the one who killed the Pope. So he was just trying to gain more power within the church, and he was clearly made out to be the bad guy. So we have bad guy, and then Ava was constantly, even though she was attracted to him, I can't remember his name now, JC, she was constantly getting mad, like at him, like every time he would ask her a question. And that it just seemed like it was basically just anti-men. Also, the narration I felt like took away, it like pulled me out of the show as I was watching it. I didn't need to hear all of her thoughts about everything. Maybe she wasn't emoting enough. Usually if an actor is giving off the right emotions facially, then you don't need to throw in anything else for that person to do. and it felt like maybe like they didn't think the viewer would be smart enough to understand what she's going through. And I didn't think it was necessary. That's a minor complaint, but I don't think it was necessary. I'll get into a few more details about the things I think were wrong with the show. There was a line that Ava says when Father Vincent says,
"I've been tasked with tending to their needs."
And then we have her voiceover narrating saying,
well, not every need.
Okay, nuns take a vow of chastity. Sex is not something that people need. So when he says,
"I've been tasked with tending to their needs,"
he's referring to shelter, food, water, clothing. So yes, all of their needs. That's a couple points right there. Third point, Ava's been bedridden. She was in a bed her entire life. She was like 7 years old, I think they say, when she was in a car accident with her parents and they were killed. So she hasn't even likely seen a man even partially undressed. She's grown up basically in this bed. She hasn't, as far as we know, and I don't see any reason why they would bring this up, but she hasn't like been reading magazines or watching TV or movies or anything like that. She's been in a bed in an orphanage being taken care of by a nun. So yeah, I'm sure she's attracted to men, but why would she even be thinking that? You know, it just doesn't seem like something that she would even be considering. To say, well, not all of their needs. It's not like, as far as we know, she hasn't had sex before JC. So she wouldn't be, in my opinion, I don't think someone like that would be thinking along those lines. It's almost like Netflix is throwing these things in to be anti-church, not because it's driven by the story. So I thought that line was completely unnecessary. A nun named Lilith. Really? I know I said that this was kind of a good thing because they presented the character, but it's also, I see it as kind of a negative. Again, it's almost like they threw her in there, but did it just to create the demon princess, which if they had stuck closer to the source material, we probably wouldn't need any of this. In fact, we wouldn't have needed the entire first 5 episodes. They could have jumped right in and just shown us this sect of warrior nuns, which, by the way, in the series there's only one warrior nun in Netflix, the Netflix series. In the comic, they are all warrior nuns. The difference is that the one that gets chosen in the comic is literally chosen. Areala chooses an avatar in every generation, whereas in the TV series, the only one that's actually a warrior nun is the one that's chosen by the Halo. And I use the words chosen in quotes because they take the Halo and they put it in someone, and assuming it doesn't reject them, then that is the chosen person. Because we don't find out, I think someone says that the Halo can reject the person that's picked. And they show us it with Mother Superior. She has a scar on her back because she was rejected. And they haven't said it, in my opinion. Being rejected doesn't mean that you're not faithful or anything like that. It just means that the Halo doesn't want you to be the chosen one. I actually did see an article about this, how Netflix went with the chosen one trope, which seems like they just borrowed it from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm sure there's other series that have done that. That's the one most familiar to me, and I don't like how they did it. That's all. And the final thing that I didn't like about the series is the church is full of secrets. This isn't just mentioned even by the scientist lady and her assistant. This is mentioned by people who are within the church, all kinds of things. I think that it's pushed too much because it's not true. The church is full of secrets, and they're just trying to maintain control, and all this is garbage. The church is actually quite open. You can, for the Catholic Church, you can look at the Catechism of the Catholic Church. It's online. It's available freely to anyone who wants to read it. The Bible is right there, freely available online to anyone who wants to read it. There aren't really any secrets. These movies and TV shows that try to say that the Catholic Church is full of secrets, they're fiction. They are entirely fiction, and I'm honestly just kind of getting tired of seeing media that tries to keep pushing this notion that they're full of secrets, and then people find out something that Catholics have known for generations, and they present it as though it's some new bit of information. It's not. If you're thinking it or you've heard it, we've heard it, it's probably not true. If you have any questions about that, feel free to comment below. I think I said that was the last point, but there was another one. The Vatican offers tours. They had they basically had some of the Vatican's artifacts that they went on I think they went on a worldwide tour. I know it was down in San Diego because I went to it, and it was pretty amazing to see all the things that are stored in the Vatican. Those artifacts are considered the property of the people. They're stored at the Vatican, yes, but it's not like you can't go and tour the Vatican and see all that stuff. This is why I say the church is very open. I don't know if you can necessarily go down into the tombs and things like that. It's not that they're kept secret. It's just that they're very important relics, so they are of course protected. So that's all I got for Warrior Nun. I don't know if I'm going to watch season 2. I might, just to see if Lilith becomes a demon princess. And if they continue this anti-men, anti-church thing, because as you saw from the finale, pretty much it's the sisters who have been put into the sect by Father Duretti, and all the other men who are now against what we got: Mother Superior, Lilith, Beatrice, Camille, and Ava. So you got 5 people against essentially an army. I have no doubt that they'll fight their way out, because if they didn't, then they wouldn't have much of a series. But I don't know if I will watch the whole thing or if I'll just look for summaries online, because I do feel like I said earlier, they took a long time to get to where they ended. It felt like season 1 was basically just, let's create the background, instead of, I think it could have been done better if they had maybe done all the background in like 2 episodes, maybe 3. But it feels like they took 7 episodes to establish all the background and then finished it off in the last 3. So anyway, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified of future videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.